Welcome to Engage Math, Lesson 12, Problem 2. We are applying our knowledge of solving a system of equations using the method of substitution, because that was the theme of lesson 12, and we're going to apply it in word problems. I took the liberty of already for each one of these three problems setting up what the variables are going to be equal to, and I usually just look at what the question's asking, and typically that works very well for letting the variables equal whatever we're being asked for. In this case, how many regular gems and how many rare gems. All right, we get 9 points for every regular gem. So I'm going to write 9x because 9 times x would be the total points we get for the regular gems, because 9 points for every single regular gem we find. Plus, we get 11 points for every rare gem we find, so 11y, and that's equal to our total points, which in this situation is 96. All right, but we need two equations because we have two variables. The other equation, we have to use the other number in the word problem, 10. 10 is the total number of gems we find. So the total number of gems is the total of the rare plus the regular. So x plus y is equal to 10. Now, because we're solving by substitution in lesson 12, I'm going to get x by itself. You might decide to write it as y equals. Doesn't matter, you're going to get the same answer. But I'm going to rewrite that second equation as x equals 10 minus y. So basically, I have subtracted y from both sides. Now I can take this and I can substitute that in for this x right here into the other equation. You have to get both equations involved. So since I used the bottom equation to solve for one of the variables, I have to use the top equation so that I can solve the whole system and make everything work together. So I'm going to now rewrite that top equation as 9, and then instead of putting x, I'm going to put 10 minus y, because x and 10 minus y are equal. So I replace this x right here with 10 minus y. So 9 times 10 minus y plus 11y equals 96. And the reason this works so great is because we now have an equation with just one variable, and we know how to solve that. So now I have 90 minus 9y plus 11y equals 96. We're going to combine our negative 9 and our positive 11, and we're going to get 90 plus 2y equals 96. Now, I'm not going to show the next step because we're going to subtract 90 from both sides and get that 2y is equal to 6, divide both sides by 2, and y equals 3. So now I'm going to change out our color here just to make sure. You see, we know y is equal to 3. So there's 3 rare gems. Since there's 10 gems altogether, 7 must equal the number of regular gems. So we have solved for both x and y. Those are our two answers. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this is a light bulb problem, getting a little bit trickier, but no problem. What we know already is that we have to get a solution somewhere between the 10% solution and the 80% solution that we have. So we're going to have to mix a little bit of the 10 and a little bit of the 80% to get something in between at 62.5%. Now, there's more than one way to do this. We're going to solve again, though, by substitution. So the first thing we know is that we want to create 4 gallons. So I'm going to make our first equation this time. The number of gallons we're going to add in of the 10% plus the number of gallons we're going to add in of the 80% has to give us a total of 4 gallons. So our first equation is x plus y equals 4. All right, so now the 10% solution is going to give us 10% of it, which we know can be written as 0.10 or 0.10. That means 10 100ths or 1/10 of the x solution, the 10% solution. Plus, we're going to get 80%, so 0.80, or we could just say 0.8 of the 80% solution. That's how much acid we're going to get from the 80% solution. Okay, and again, I could make that 0.80. I showed it to you both ways, that we could either write 0.1 or 0.8. We could either write 0.10 or 0.80. 0.10 is the same as 0.1, 0.80 is the same as 0.8. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to say that that's equal, and we want 62.5%. So we're going to write that as, we're going to move that decimal over 2 to the left, just like we've done with the others. and we get a 0.625 or 625 1,000ths of the 4 gallons is the total acid that we want. So that's going to be our other equation. Now the top equation, I'm going to solve for one of the variables. Let's just be consistent like we did with the first one, and let's just rewrite that as x equals 4 minus y, where we solved for x. We could have just as easily said y equals 4 minus x. All right, the second equation I'm going to write down here a little bit nicer. If you remember, when we're solving equations where there's decimals, I am a big fan of trying to eliminate the decimals, even when you have a calculator. And this time you certainly do have a calculator, so you don't really need to do what I'm doing, but I just want you to see it. So I'm going to rewrite this right-hand side as, since it's 4 times 625 1,000ths, you can use the calculator, that is going to give you 2.5, excuse me, my bad mental math, 2.5 or 2 and 5 tenths. And then here, what we're going to do is we're going to say, I'm going to rewrite it as 0.1x. It's going to put an equal sign so you know that's equals, plus 0.8y. Okay, so I just rewrote that top part. But the reason I was thinking 25 before is because I am going to multiply this entire red equation through, and I'm going to multiply through by 10 so that all the decimals go away. Sorry, so I'm going to just rewrite it as 1x plus 8y equals 25, because I just multiplied the whole thing through by 10, moving every decimal place 1 to the right. So now I'm going to rewrite this equation, but I'm going to substitute in 4 minus y wherever I have an x. So I'm going to, instead of writing this x, I'm going to write 4 minus y. Maybe I'll put that in parentheses just so you see that's going in for the 1x plus 8y equals 25. All right, so now I'm going to combine my like terms, which is going to give me 4 plus 7y equals 25. And we're going to get 7y equals 21. And we know then y equals 3. Okay, so I'm going to change our color out here. So the amount of gallons, the number of gallons of the 80% solution is 3 gallons. And the number of gallons of the 10% solution is going to have to be the other remaining of the 4 gallons, which would be 1. And we're done. All right, let's go to the next one. That light bulb one was really tough, I know. All right, let's go to this one. So we have a total of 25 coins. I already said n plus, oh, you know what? Let's change that to n plus, let's make this a q. I wanted to give you one where we could, just so you know, you can always change out those letters. So let's say, let q equal the number of quarters. Doesn't matter if you use x and y, and sometimes it helps to use variables that match with what you're talking about. So what we know is the number of nickels plus the number of quarters is equal to a total of 25 coins. So n plus q equals 25. And then we know that for every single nickel, we have 1/20th of a dollar. So it's like 5 cents. 5 cents is the same as 5/100ths of a dollar, or 0.05. So for every single nickel we have, we're going to add in 5 cents, so 0.05. Plus, for every quarter that we have, we're going to add in 25 cents, or 0.25 times the Q, and that's equal to a total of 4.65 or $4.65. Okay, I am going to rewrite both of these equations again. The top one, I'm going to rewrite, and I'm going to just keep solving for the variable on the left. Again, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to say n equals 25 minus q. And then the equation below, I'm going to rewrite it, and I'm going to just multiply it through by 100 to get rid of the decimals. That's the same as moving all the decimals 2 to the right. So we're going to get 5n plus 25q equals 465. And when you think about that, what we're really doing is we're saying 5 pennies times every nickel plus 25 pennies times every quarter equals 465 pennies. Good way to think about it. All right, so now I'm going to substitute back in. So I'm going to kind of circle this one in green because it's a little bit trickier with the n's and the q's. So what I'm going to write in green is what I'm substituting in for n. So I have 5. And then instead of writing n, I'm going to write 25 minus q plus 25q Let's change that color back again. So the only thing that's in green is what we put in for the value of n. So then we're going to say plus 25q equals 465, because remember, we got rid of all those decimals. All right, so now we have 125 minus 5q plus 25q equals 465. All right, on the left, we have simply 20q, and then I'm going to subtract 125 from both sides. So 20q equals 340. So q, the number of quarters, is 340 divided by 20, which is going to be, sorry, let me kind of go back with that, is going to be 17. So what we know, I'm going to go back to the original. The number of quarters is 17. So the number of nickels must be the remaining number of 25 coins, which has to be 8. So in this case, we have 17 quarters, 8 nickels, and you've done a great job. Thanks for hanging in there today at Engage.